Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to our podcast. If you could please follow us on Instagram at ENG Podcast and tag a friend, that'd be great. And if you haven't already, please rate and review us on iTunes. Hey guys, one last thing. On Instagram, make sure to check out and follow our friends at Bachelor_Nation, who we've teamed up with along with our sponsors to run giveaways and upcoming promotions, which include Skype dates with previous contestants. Thanks so much for listening. Today's episode of the ENG Podcast is sponsored by our good friends at Clothing by Owl. All you Bachelor fans will recognize this name as they are the company behind the hugely popular Wine Bachelor and Yoga Pants tank top. What you may not know is that they give back a percentage of every item sold to Animal Rescue, and that notable Bachelor alums like JoJo Fletcher, Caitlin Bristow, Lauren Bushnell, Ben Higgins, and Nick Viall are all huge supporters. We're happy to offer our listeners 20% off when you visit clothingbyowl.com. Simply add the discount code ENG, that's EANDG, to save on all your Bachelor gear. And be sure to follow them on social media at Clothing by Owl.
Jeff and I are doggy dads, which is why we're so excited to be partnering with our newest sponsor, Puppies Make Me Happy. They have a super simple mission to make the happiest clothes on earth, which they do. And we know our listeners will love this brand just as much as we do. Plus, we're excited to help spread a little happiness ourselves by offering listeners 20% off all merchandise by using discount code ENG. That's EANDG at checkout. Make sure to follow them on Instagram at Puppies Make Me Happy.
Welcome to another episode of the ENG Podcast. We got Ashley Iaconetti, and then, just for Ashley I, we're playing a little bit of this.
You're funny. You mean, let me understand this, because maybe it's me, I'm a little fucked up, maybe. But I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you? I make you laugh? I'm here to fucking amuse you? What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Little Joe Pesci for the Ashley I Podcast. Ian, what's up?
Jeffy San. What's up, man? That was an unexpected entry, but
I like to mix it up, Ian. Come on, we got Ashley Iaconetti.
I love it, man. I know you asked her how to say her last name, and
I wanted to
immediately that direction. So
I wanted to know. Did you not want to know how to say her last name correctly?
Ashley I, as she said, that's what she's known as. That's what our listeners probably know her as. So yes, I was curious. It's a fair point. Ashley, man, she was great. This was like, we've been trying to track her down and trying to make it work schedule wise. We're happy to finally have done it. I know we had a lot of questions and jumped all over the board. Everything from Jared and Caila and Bachelor in Paradise to
and then Jared and Jared and Jared
and then back to Jared and then back to Jared and then back to Jared and and Nick and kind of her initial experience with the franchise and some of her take on what's happened since, and it was cool. It was a fun conversation. What was your take on Ashley I?
We talked about this. We got a lot of people on the podcast, and we were wondering, is she going to be one of these people that holds back? Because she's very much into the Bachelor world. She's very entrenched. She's
Absolutely.
Very entrenched, my friend. And we thought maybe she would give us little softball answers. But she actually she told a little behind-the-scenes stuff. It was pretty interesting.
No softballs, man. She was giving us some real hot takes. We did talk about Wells. Wells
as well. And also Caila, and she did not hold back on Caila.
Yeah, she cleared the air. I think it's fair to say. So you'll have to listen to her reply. But, I mean, she basically put everything out there. We got all the questions we had going into it. We got them answered, which is, I think, a sign of successful conversation.
We verified that she is a virgin. We sent the ENG podcast team doctor over. Hello!
Ashley I. So she was the best. We're looking forward to making it happen again. We're already thinking to the future and when it's going to be the next run, because Ashley I's got some takes, man. And she's a fan of the show. So it's like, it's fun to chat with her because she has a sense of what's happening now. And for all the people watching Ben and Lauren, I think we saw her make her initial appearance this past week. Jeff, you mentioned that. And she dropped that she'll be on there 2 more times before the season's out as well, with some bigger appearances. So you got that to look forward to as well.
Yeah, she did say that she watches all the shows, which is interesting because some of the people we talked to are like, no, I never watched the show, but I was on it. Now I'm
in and out.
Yeah.
Exactly. And she kind of came into it as a fan initially, even just her initial first season with Chris Soules. And so Yeah, Ashley, I mean, she's like the perfect person to chat to about the Bachelor world, especially as it's on hiatus, because she's friendly with Nick. She keeps on touch with all the shows. She's great friends with a lot of people that we all know and have talked to and are
want to
still in
hear
the Bachelor
about.
world. Yeah, we want to hear about them.
She's friends with a lot of people want to hear about. So everybody enjoy the podcast with Ashley Iaconetti. Ashley I. Hey,
Hey.
Gina, calzones! Get the calzones, Gina.
Hi, Jeff and Ian, right?
Yes. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for doing it, Ashley. Ashley, how do you pronounce your last name? Because everyone just says I.
It is Iaconetti.
Iaconetti. All right.
Yeah.
So
There we go.
And go ahead. What's the story?
And I've always like in high school, all the other times where I've been one of multiple Ashleys. It's always been Ashley I, so I've always been used to it.
Nice. So what have you been up to? You're just very into the Bachelor world. You were on Paradise. What's been going on since?
So much. People are like, "What's your job?" And I'm like, I don't know what to call it, but I'm definitely busy every day.
That's good.
Like right now, I'm promoting another podcast that I did with Sammy from Jersey Shore. It's the Just Saying podcast, and that was really fun.
Oh,
so
Nice. Oh yeah, I think we saw that picture, Ashley. That was great. What was that like? What's Sammy like?
that was so fun because actually her relationship with Ronnie currently, well, I guess sort of, well, during the airing of the show is so similar to Jared and I's relationship. And people would always be like, Sammy, like, why are you still after Ronnie? Like, why is this still a thing? And a lot of it has to do with what you see off camera, what happens off camera.
Wow, that's going to be super interesting. I could see the parallels now that you brought that up. That's funny.
Crazy. Like when she was describing how really it's just like this sense of comfort, like nobody knows what you're going through except for like that person specifically. And you hang out with them so much off camera for events and promotion and
Totally. Well, I guess let's start with that topic because I'm sure this is something you have to talk about nonstop. But I just want to kind of say for the record, I know Jeff and I, when we were watching this last season of Paradise, there appeared to be we were not seeing the full truth, right? Especially in terms of what happened with Caila. And so can you maybe just clear the air? Like, what was that like? I know that we've had a lot of discussion. Our fans have been engaged in that as well. And you clearly have gotten a bad rap about that. But can you just comment on what your and Jared's relationship is like and maybe what ultimately went down in Paradise with Caila?
I think I think while I got a bad rap on air, I think most people, based on what I hear from meeting fans, all kind of know like, hey, we're Team Ashley. We know something must have been going on that we didn't see. You're the relatable one, and you're the one that people rooted for, even though they tried to make you look like a villain.
Right.
Well, it was a long time ago, so we won't dwell on it. But yeah, there's a huge chunk of the story that was missing, and
we don't want to dwell on it, but just take like an hour or two and just recap what happened just with that.
Let's get into all the well, actually, I'll say,
is Caila shady? Ian, you stop for a second. Is Caila shady? Yes or no?
Yes.
Nice. Keep going.
Okay. And that's because you had like a Snapchat story that you were running, right? Where you were just being honest. Like, listen, I had his best interest in heart. He's my friend. What you guys didn't see was that there was some sketchy intentions maybe on her part that like obviously didn't make air. Is that all accurate?
Yeah,
okay.
I did get to kind of say my piece in a FabFitFun Snapchat that I did, and then my own Cosmopolitan article, which I had to edit for the sake of my contract because I was a bit too revealing. She basically was just trying to. She just listened to the. I'm gonna get in trouble again, but she basically just listened to the producers a little bit too much. She definitely wasn't being honest.
You know, she already came on and told us how she like wasn't being honest and how she listened to the producers. So you can just say whatever because she already told us.
Did she? I don't even know if you're being serious. She's like pretty honest with me and Jared now. So I just.
Well, that is the interesting thing about the show is that they.
I know you're being sarcastic.
Yeah, I'm totally being sarcastic.
But I'm just telling you that yeah. She basically did a good amount of acting. Is all I can say.
Well, also they edit the show. I says to Ian like, early on, and then now since we like have had a bunch of people on to talk about the show, they've also confirmed it. But I mean, we already knew stuff. But they can edit the show to make it look like, oh, that person never talks, and then like someone will be all over that person, or everyone likes that person, and like, why does everyone like that person? They never talk. It's like we never see them talk. They can edit anyone. They can make it look like the 3 times you got emotional, that's the only thing they show, and it's like, wow, that girl Ashley I's completely insane. And then they show someone else, it's like that person literally says nothing, but that's not what's happening.
Right, of course. And I think it was always interesting during the season. The entire cast was defending me on social media and being like, "We're Team Ashley." So if their team, why would they be Team Ashley if I was apparently some huge villain, right? Yeah. And they would be like, and then of course everybody was saying bad stuff about Caila during that period, and they only aired me saying bad stuff.
Can I ask you, just because we're talking about the editing, they show Jared, they don't really show a lot of him, and it seems like everyone loves that guy. What are we not seeing on TV about Jared? Because he seems like he must have like an amazing personality, and everyone loves him, guys and girls. But they really just make him seem sometimes kind of dull on TV, which obviously he's not. So what are we all not seeing about Jared?
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. People come up to me and be like, "You're way too fun for Jared." I was like, "You just don't know Jared the way that we all do." He's like, I don't even know what it is. He's just he's the easiest person to ever talk to. He's so warm and understanding, and he's just like fun and lighthearted and funny, and he's probably the most easy to get along person you'll ever meet. And
I mean, you definitely have had his back since day one. So we hear it from you, but to Jeff's point, sometimes you just don't see that stuff. And that's what's interesting is like the show obviously portrays one story, right? But then after I think Paradise's last season, weren't you on vacation with Jared, your sister, Jane and Tanner? Like you guys were all hanging out, right? So clearly you guys are all friends. Like
that was so funny is that people didn't realize that Paradise was taped in June, and then Jared and I were off on a vacation in July. So people were like, "Oh my God," like blah, 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 not knowing that after the shooting of all of it, we were great. We definitely had, there were some arguments throughout the summer while it was airing, and it wasn't an easy thing for like any friends to get through, but we definitely, have an amazing communication in our relationship. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, okay, let's get off Jared. I'm sure you've had your fill talking about and discussing that. We do want to get your take on a bunch of other stuff. So let's move into some other stuff. One of the first things is Nick. And so here on this podcast, we're spoiler free. We definitely are not looking at reality Steve. We're not trying to project.
No idea what's going on with Nick.
Okay. So it's, I guess, and you don't have to tell us anything right now, of course, right? I mean, he's obviously filming, and so, or maybe he just wrapped. But I guess the thought is, did you feel as though, like, when you heard that Nick was the next Bachelor, what did you feel? Were you like, yes, finally, because he really deserves this chance? Or, like, what was your mood about it?
Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, after Paradise wrapped, about, like, a week after we got back from Mexico, I was talking to Nick, and I was like, you ever think that maybe if you get, like, the edit that I think you're going to get this season, that you could be the Bachelor? And, you know, he was like, thought that was a cool idea, but I don't think he ever thought it would actually happen. And then I definitely didn't think it was happening when they were about to announce The Bachelor. And I was pretty darn sure that it was between Luke and Chase. And when I mean Luke and Chase, I definitely mean Luke. And I imagine Luke coming out on stage. I was at that episode of After Paradise where they announced Nick. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. Luke's here tonight, too. Like, just assuming. And then Nick walked out when they announced the next Bachelor. And Jared Wells and I, like, basically thought this was, like, a joke. Because Nick actually came out at the same time last year when they announced Ben as an actual joke. So I was like, this isn't real. This isn't real. And then about 30 seconds later, and they're talking to him seriously, I was like, this is the coolest moment of my life. Not that it's any surprise. I cried actual happy tears, and I've only done that a couple times in my life. And I was just like, this is the coolest moment for one of my really good friends. And I have never been like so happy for another human being before.
So you actually you did not know prior to that moment that Nick was going to be that guy. You found out along with the rest of us. Wow.
No,
okay.
good at keeping secrets. I'm sure like he'll come back and I won't even know who he picks for months. Not even joking. I'll probably text him next week when he's back, and I probably won't know who his fiance is, presumably.
So you seem like you're pretty close with Nick, just from everything you just said. What is Nick like? Because some people say like, oh, this guy, like I know I mean, not that we put too much stock into what that guy Chad says, but he, I think, had some things to say like that guy's phony and he pretends.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Chad will basically play devil's advocate on anything, so just to get attention.
Right.
So believe me, Nick is a great person. What's awesome about Nick is I think that the audience has actually kind of grown with him and his personality the way that his regular friends do. Because at first, when I was friends with Nick, I thought like, oh, I'm not sure about this guy. Like, he's like a little standoffish, maybe a little bit too cool for school. And then you get to know him, and he is like the most supportive friend you can have. He will always have your back. He's like such a little mushball. He's got a great heart. And I think at first he's just slow to warm up to. And after you get to know him, he's wonderful.
What about, are you close with Jen Saviano?
Jen and I are friends, but, I haven't really hung out with her much since Paradise Rap. She lives in Florida. I haven't really crossed paths with her much, but I love her. She's great. Loved spending time with her this summer.
What is your take on, I don't know if you saw a lot of people were kind of teasing, I guess, Nick with how he, on Paradise, that they filmed that he broke up with her, and they were saying he was kind of faking crying and stuff. Nick, obviously. Do you think he kind of knew he was going to be the Bachelor? That's why he did that? That's a big rumor.
Oh, absolutely not. He definitely had no idea when he broke up with Jen that he'd have had any chance to be the Bachelor. Like I said, when he came back from Paradise and I was like, hey, what if you're the Bachelor? Like, he genuinely was like, wait, that's an idea that I never thought would ever happen. So I think those tears were super real. And when I say that he's like a warm mushball inside, that was his insides coming out. I think that was completely genuine.
Okay.
So you think he might have gotten a little bit of a bad rap from that? That's interesting. So it's good to get the insight. Go ahead.
At the same time, the way that they announced him as Bachelor also had an effect on that last episode and how people interpreted that last episode and how he broke up with her. Because think about it, they announced him being the Bachelor before that episode aired. And I think the reason they announced him as Bachelor is because it was going to leak. And they were like, well, if it's going to leak, as might as well just spoil this and announce it ourselves.
Totally. Yeah, that's a completely fair point. And it's worth, so since we're on this topic, had you watched any of JoJo's season? Did you know JoJo at all?
I had met JoJo only once before her season. Now, of course, we've hung out a few times. She's great. But yeah, of course, I watch every episode. It's almost like a job. Like I have to watch it now.
There you go. So were you rooting for Luke? Was Luke your front runner? Who did you like in JoJo's season?
In JoJo's season, the only guy I was truly interested in was Wells, and the producers know that. And I was like, if Wells isn't in Paradise, I swear to you, like, I do not have me come. If he does not show up, I do not want to be there. There's nobody I'm going to like. I have to just focus on this Jared thing.
So
he came in. They're right. Interesting.
That's perfect. So what about Wells stood out to you? What were you attracted to? At least from seeing him initially on TV.
He's stereotypically my type, like appearance wise, totally. I'm not a body girl, so yes, he's skinny, but like I'm a face girl, and his face is like physically right on point with my type. And then his personality is also very much my type. Like he's smart, but he's also like fun and jovial. His job is in line with my interests. I'm like a little pop culture fanatic. He's a radio DJ. He's just that fun, smart guy who kind of like gets along with everyone, has that reputation. He's a little bit of a dork. I like that. He and Jared have a lot of parallels.
Okay, interesting. So how did you feel about how all the Wells stuff went down in Paradise? I mean, we'd be remiss not to ask you about that. He did become, towards the end, the ultimate catch, right? If memory serves, him and Jamie went out, him and Shoshana went out. you guys had a little bit of a fling. Like, what was that like? What was that experience like for you?
There's a lot of production into that week, and I can't really talk about it. Wells and I definitely got to see each other very soon after I was dumped on camera.
Yeah.
So, we talked all summer. We were never dating, but like kept in good touch. I went to Nashville. It was like a small thing. I don't know what to call it, but yeah.
Well, what can you tell us about? Because I haven't been watching the shows as long as Ian has, so I didn't know who you were until I saw you on Bachelor in Paradise. And
This Paradise?
Oh, were you on another one?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You were on. Okay. So, the word is that you are a virgin, and on the show they made it seem like they showed you saying that you would totally end that for Wells.
Okay,
What?
I would never have had sex with Wells in the fantasy suite. That is the most absurd thing ever.
Right.
They can cut it to make it seem like I would.
Of course.
I would never have done that after knowing the dude for 4 nights. I literally knew him. I think I knew him. That was maybe the 5th day we knew each other. And that's crazy.
So they edited a conversation where you were basically probably saying down the road, if things worked out and everything, you could see that happening.
That's what happened last year with Jared too. I basically always say that, like, yeah, if he were my boy, I always try to word it in a way that they couldn't cut up, but they can basically cut up anything.
Right.
I basically word it in a way like, yeah, if you were my boyfriend for a couple months, then yeah, of course I would. So they somehow make it seem like it would be that night. And did I say that I would go like beyond first base with Wells? Yeah, I definitely probably would have, but no, I would definitely not have gone as far as they always make it seem like I would.
And you would have had to kick out Josh and Amanda, and that seemed like they were laying claim to that space. So I don't know if you want to follow that up, at least from what we saw. From the fantasy space in Bachelor in Paradise, right? In the mansion. It seemed like that was just their spot, right? Weren't Nick and Jen trying to go up there one evening as well? There was a little bit of a blowout.
The real actual fantasy suites where you go off base.
Off-site. Okay.
Not the little fantasy rooms that we have on like camp.
They mix it up for you guys a little bit. That's cool.
Yeah, no, I don't think, even Wells and I we were both pretty conservative, and I don't think we were going to end up using one of those on base little rooms.
Nah, too cliche.
Knowing someone. Yeah.
Way too cliche. So what was it like being on the original Bachelor in Paradise with your sister and then deciding to come back again? What kind of prompted you to want to go back for the second time?
You know, I never ever thought that I would do it again. Still, like in April, I was like, I'm not doing this. And then I had dinner with one of my producer friends. She's like, Ashley, just come and hang out with me. I would say that the reason I did it was because a lot of it was FOMO. Because I knew Carly, Nick, and Jared were doing it again. And I'm like, well, those are like my buds. How am I going to watch this in August and know that I could have been part of it and not done it?
Totally. It was just like a fun experience being able to go back and hang with your friends, right? I mean, ultimately.
Do I ever think that I never look back on it thinking it was fun. But what is always fun is the aftermath and getting to hang out with everyone and all the appearances and just all the promotion that goes along with it. It's a blast.
Totally. So, Ashley, we got to ask you, like, time machine here, going way back to the start. So you made your original appearance on the Bachelor franchise with Chris Soules, right, in his season. What prompted you to go on the show? Were you submitted? Did a friend do it for you? Were you always a fan of the show? What kind of was like the reasoning?
Well, it was one of my last months of grad school, and I had access to one of like our nice fancy professional cameras at home in Virginia, actually. And I was just like, you know what, let's do the Bachelor. Let's finally do a Bachelor audition tape and let's do it right. So I made a very elaborate tape that actually was like a mock season. I went through every like major step from getting out of the limo to like a one-on-one to the fantasy suite to the final rose. And then I sent it in actually hoping oddly that Jeff Holm would be the Bachelor instead of Juan Pablo, which is really weird and like such a throwback. And I guess I had submitted my tape a little too. Yeah, I had submitted the tape too late for Juan Pablo season. Not that I would have wanted Juan Pablo as my
Probably not in hindsight. Yep.
It's definitely a blessing in disguise that I didn't get a call for 9 months. And then I got a call on April Fool's Day, 2014. Yeah. It was one of the casting producers, and they were like, can you come and meet us at one of our casting events? They kind of gave me priority access that entire day, and I left with this envelope. And before you know it, you're like on the fast track to being on the show.
And how much, when you go through that process, how much are the producers trying to feel you out to see, like, oh, what's her storyline? You know, is she going to be the crazy girl? Is she going to be the whatever? You know, like, what do you think about you made them excited about putting you on the show?
I think they knew, like, they liked my energy on the audition room a lot. I was really open and honest about myself. And I know that the virginity thing, like, yeah, I brought it up in casting because I knew that it would make me stand out. I mean, it's 1000% true. I hated that first season. I got a lot of flack for like, oh my God, this is so fake. Like, she's just using this to get attention. I would never, ever freaking want to talk about that topic of my life as much as I have on the show. It's just something that they like really, they just ask all day long in those interview rooms. And
I hope my daughter uses that to get attention someday, being a virgin for a really long time.
I think awesome. That when
I'm going to put a big portrait of you up in her, right above her crib. Like, this is your God. This is who you want to be like.
Oh my gosh, yes, right? So I think that once people really got to know me more on the Paradises, they're like, oh, this girl she's not lying.
I think you come off, you know, like definitely a virgin. You have that. Yeah. You have that. You're wound a little tight. You know, you're a little. Yeah. You got the little craziness going. What are some things in the past, obviously, that, because I know how these shows work, the producers, have they tried to get you to say or do anything or start any sort of relationship or whatever, and you weren't having it? Because we definitely know some people are more inclined to just listen to whatever producers say, and some are like, nah, I'm not going to do that, and then they probably don't end up on as long. Is there anything that you were uncomfortable with they tried to get you to do?
Okay, so this is interesting. When I used to babysit for Jenny McCarthy and Donnie Wahlberg, their son Evan, and before I babysat like a couple weeks before leaving for The Bachelor, and I asked Jenny, who's had some reality show experience, I said, "What's your advice for me?" And she goes, "I would listen to the producers and listen to whatever they want you to do, unless you like morally disagree with it." So that's really what I took from it. If they we're like joking around in the interview room and there's something like maybe not politically correct, but I think it's funny, I'll say it. But like, if it's about, I'm not going to ever kiss someone I don't want to kiss, and I'm not going to like someone I don't want to like. When I talk about The Bachelor and its authenticity, I really say it's like, it's 90% authentic.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty high percentage.
Yeah, because people are like, it's all fake, right? I'm like, no, I mean, all the feelings there are, for the most part, like really real. Really, really real. The only feelings that I think were really produced for camera were Caila's. And that's why I was so annoyed all season. Like, you saw how upset I was, and it was like because the first time I was seeing something that I felt was so highly produced.
You had to sit on that couch with Caila, didn't you, during like the after show?
Yeah.
What is that dynamic like? Because obviously you don't seem like a hateful person, and I don't know, she doesn't seem like one either, but is that super awkward because you are basically like, yeah, I'm getting a lot of shit calling you fake, but you're fake, so I'm not going to stop saying it. Is that a weird thing?
I think there was a lot of tension between us at that point. We actually did Ellen the next day, and I think it was kind of like the coolest thing that we could have had following all this hostility. So we basically like just joked around at Ellen for 3 hours backstage because, you know, Ellen puts you in certain circumstances where you can't not laugh. So it was nice to have that as just to break a lot of tension.
Okay, so that helped out. I have just to pivot a little bit because Ian and I were talking on another podcast, and we were saying because we took like some questions from fans that emailed us, fans of our podcast, and they were saying like one of them asked like who would we want to see as from people that have been on the show or whatever as Bachelor or Bachelorette, and we both kind of thought you would be a very interesting Bachelorette because you've been in the game for so long with them and you are very interesting. You have the whole virgin thing going. People think you're kind of nuts or whatever. So, like, I know if you have, you probably can't say, but would you be open to being the Bachelorette? Because that seems like that would be a fun season.
I can't imagine anyone who would not want to be the Bachelorette if asked. Like, I don't know if anyone's really ever turned it down. So, of course, I'd be interested, and that would be like an honor. And yeah, I think I'd be awesome for it. But I also think that the percentage of me doing it is like 5%. So, or me getting asked. So yeah, I mean, I think it would be great. I think I'd provide an entertaining season, but I don't think it's on the table.
And would you like a bunch of guys? Would you say if you were the Bachelor, would you say, oh, I'm not really into the big? Because JoJo's season had a lot of big meaty guys, and I had a whole theory about why Wells had such a big following was because, and Ian always makes fun of me because I kept calling him cute. I go, but like he's a cute guy amongst all these like big like guys that work out all the time and they're all ripped.
He's like the best face of all of them. He's so cute. I would definitely be like, you guys know what I'm into. I'm into a Wells Jared type, personality wise and looks wise. So like, please give me all of them you can find.
Right. So if you were the Bachelor, we would not see a season full of big kind of like more meatheady guys.
I mean, like, it doesn't matter whether they got muscles or not. It's just more of a personality thing. Yeah, I guess I don't know what to say. I would like a variety.
Okay.
Variety is good. So, Ashley, what would viewers of the show be surprised to learn about you that has not been addressed on the show, right? Because I feel like it's very one-dimensional. A lot of times it's like Ashley's the girl who cries and who's very emotional, right? But it's like we're missing a whole side of you, right? So what are you into outside of the show? What do you really like?
I haven't cried for over 2 weeks, so that would be interesting for them to know.
There you go.
I think that a lot of them don't realize that, like, what they see of me is a caricature of myself. It is like your most prominent features and traits, totally blown up. So, like, yeah, this is what's really funny, actually. This is the perfect answer for this. My friend was asked this exact question a couple weeks ago. She went to grad school with me. One, I went to grad school, so that could be surprising to some people, but I did mention that on that Kelsey date back in my first season. Okay. The girl was asking her, is Ashley like as crazy and emotional in real life? And Audrey was like, no, actually, Ashley was the calmest in my grad school class. Like, she was always the one that wasn't running around freaking out, wondering, like, scared that she wouldn't get a project done. She was always the one that was calming us down and saying, like, don't worry, you're going to get it done. We're going to work it. It's all going to work out. Like, if you need help, I'm here to help you. There's no way you're going to fail this. Like, I was the one that would keep people's emotions in check in school.
The voice of reason. You're like the calming force. And so what's happened in the dating world is, so I guess the question is how much have you dated, right? Like before going on to The Bachelor that very first time, what was your dating experience like?
Before?
Yeah, prior to going on The Bachelor with Crystals. Like what was your dating experience like? Did you have a long-term boyfriend prior to that? Had you just kind of maybe done some dating casually like in high school and stuff?
I never went on a date in high school.
Never went on a date. Okay.
No, in high school, my first like date was like actually my prom date. And
is that because your parents were strict, or is that just?
Yeah, that was like I was a middle of the line, like wallflower in high school. And
wow. Okay.
Yeah, and like basically like I don't think I really felt. I don't think I ever like got out of that shell until grad school, probably. Then, yeah, I mean, it was just a couple, like, I would casually date. There was nothing to really speak of before
Okay.
the.
So when you went into life in the mansion, and we've talked to a bunch of people, they often say that that first day when you're just struck there doing the limo arrivals, meeting all the other contestants, the cameras, everything, what was that like for you? Were you just like, holy crap, what did I sign up for? Or were you very excited? What was that moment like?
I was really prepared for that moment, but it was
Okay.
like, that's the word surreal, like insane. When you get in that limo and you're cheersing with the girls on camera, and then you pull up and see the Bachelor standing in front of the Bachelor mansion, you're like, this is too weird. I have watched this for years, and now I'm experiencing it's just like an out of body sort of experience.
I can imagine. What was in the mansion, life in the mansion? What was your experience like with the other girls, right? I mean, you seem like someone who's really easy to get along with, but then they kind of manufacture drama around you. But then it seems as though off camera and sense that you maintain a lot of relationships with people from the house. Were you involved in the drama in the house, or did you just kind of hang back and do your own thing? What was that like?
I think in the first season, I think if you really, I think there's a theme in all three of my seasons, and that is like, I get along with everyone except one girl. And I think the first season, we all collectively didn't get along with Kelsey. She was like our villain, and I happened to be the one who was maybe the most outspoken about it. So of course they paired me up on that 2-on-1, and it was epic. And I thank them for that 2-on-1 date, because if I didn't have that, let's be real, I would not have had the exposure that I did from that season, and then going into Paradise being such a character.
Yeah, that's when everybody kind of fell in love with you, got to know you a little bit.
Yeah, it was definitely really a shining personality moment on my behalf. And then the second season, I had Claire, which I think that was like pretty minor. But yeah, I love everyone. It's been the biggest blessing of my life, like this whole experience. I have my own frat and sorority, as I like to say now, and I've always had a lot of friends, but I've never had that like group of friends that you all like go out and hang out together. And it's just nice to have kind of a crew.
So who is your crew that you're closest with? Because everyone we talk to, they have like little cliques. It seems like it seems like most people are friendly, but there's little cliques. Like, who are your closest friends from the Bachelor world?
Well, I mean, it's kind of interesting how it's evolved from the first season, because during the first season, Megan and Mackenzie were my very closest friends in the house. But as I've gone through multiple seasons, I would say like I've really come out with my clique being like Jared, Jade, Tanner. I love Ben and Lauren. Nick obviously is always in there, and I hang out with Becca a good amount. But I think definitely like me, Nick, Jade, Tanner, and Jared. Carly, and of course Evan. They sometimes hang out in there.
Carly and Evan, so your take on them? They seem like a real couple, huh?
Yeah, they're amazing. I love them. They're the cutest. I was obsessed with seeing Carly just like fall in love, and her whole mentality change in those couple weeks in Paradise.
So was that all kind of accurate? Because the way that was edited, I mean, I was never really, I was pretty indifferent on Evan, but he kind of got treated like shit by Carly on that show at the beginning.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's all great they end up together, but was that really kind of how it was? Because it's also such a truncated, like, short time frame that everyone's on the Paradise, whatever, the island, but they make it, it seems longer, and sometimes you don't know what you're watching. But she went from like, I'm really into Evan, to like, oh my god, I threw up, I had to kiss him, that was so gross, I was puking all night, and then it would seem like a couple days later she's all in for Evan again.
Yeah, I know it sounds kind of weird, but with Evan, what's so funny is that he's so completely different in real life than what you've seen on TV. He's like a lot calmer. He's a lot cooler, a lot suaver. He's like my go-to person if I just need to vent and like have someone listen and just like really understand my feelings. He's just really easy. He's really easy to talk to. So, I think that going into Paradise, Carly sort of was going off of a lot of the nerdiness that you saw in JoJo's season and like a lot of his initial nerdiness. But when you get to know him, he's just like a whole different dude.
And was he handing out erectile dysfunction pills on the island, or did he keep those all to himself?
I don't think he had any with him. Not sure. I don't think Evan needs them yet.
But that's what he does. He helps people, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What about Josh Murray and Amanda? Because they made that seem like it was forced or fake, but then they're still together, right?
Yeah, I love Josh and Amanda. I think they're the most adorable. They're like a real life prince and princess. They came out from some magical like Disney factory or something.
And did you get any of the stuff? Multiple people, I guess, have said that Josh is too polished or he's phony or whatever. And I was saying to Ian when we were watching the Paradise show that, I mean, some people just talk a certain way where they come off a certain way, even though they're not. Like, a lot of people would say things about me like, oh, I seem like I'm like a frat douchebag. I'm like, well, I was never in a frat. I never wanted to be in a frat. Like, I was never that guy. But people just get like a vibe off somebody. So I said, maybe that guy's super fake, or maybe he just talks like that. Maybe he just talks he comes off like might be phony. So you got none of that from Josh?
Well, my thing about Josh and I like bonded a little bit over getting a lot of hate this season, mainly because we think we kind of like got a bad rap because we are like the most passionate and emotional, like outwardly emotional in the cast, I think. Right. So I don't know. I understand a little bit about what you're saying about the phoniness, but then at the same time, they did what they wanted to do. Josh went into Paradise. They knew that was the storyline they were going to create for him. I believe that's how it went.
Okay. What did you think about, because you're so close, it seems like you're close with Josh and with Evan, was that weird, or was that just editing where remember when Evan kind of on the show made a play for Amanda, and then started going like, did you read the book? I heard there's a book. I didn't read the book, but there's a book. You should read the book. Was that, we always talk to people that seems like you're one of them where you're friends with seems like almost everyone. But then some of them had like weird things. So is that awkward, or is that is their weirdness not real?
That is funny. I don't know. I don't think that they're going to really ever see each other again. I don't think it was created for TV. I mean, everything is hyped sometimes by production, but like generally the tension that you see, like just like I said, like all romantic feelings are for the most part real, just as most tension is for the most part real. I don't think you get 18 people together and there's going to be personalities that jive and personalities that don't, and for the most part we really get along well. I think there's like some Bachelor gene where there's a common denominator in all of our personalities that led us in the direction to be on that show. And because of it, we all have similar personalities and we get along. We all have big personalities. And when you get 18 or so big personalities and you put them in a hotel together and you confine them to a certain area for a certain amount of time, you're going to get people who clash, and I think they probably clash, just like the way that me and Caila clash. And
totally, yeah. I mean, like they're not telling you guys what to do or how to feel, but they are putting you in situations where drama might ensue, right? I mean, that's fair enough. So
when people are like, "Is it scripted?" It's like, no, it is not scripted. Are there situations that we're put into that we are not aware of? Completely, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, actually, we got to ask you now too. What's the dating situation been like after the show? I mean, you've gone through this a couple times post show, but I'm sure you're recognized fairly often. Is it hard to find people who don't know you from the show, or what is that like? Dating in the real world.
I have to say that like this is my number one asked question lately, and I have not done much dating since Paradise. Like I said, Wells and I talked all summer long. It wasn't like something, I wasn't trying to go out and meet any other guys like up until, mid-September. Like really when the show was done airing. And then I just haven't. I've been really busy. And when I have a couple nights off, I really just want to sit on the couch and watch TV. And I've gone through a couple dating apps. People like come back to me and they'll be like, I think there's a catfish of you on Bumble. I'm like, nope, that's really me on Bumble. Really
Don't hate, guys. Yeah.
A little bit more.
Dang. Have you had any, I guess with that said, any weird, funny, or creepy experiences post-show with people maybe reaching out, fans, things like that?
Sometimes I'll get emails like about seeing me on an app or just wanting to take me out and stuff, like random emails. But the girls really don't get it bad. The guys get it. Like the guys get a lot of weirdness because most guys don't watch the show. Yep. So if I were to go on a date, you know, people would be like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, well, long story, but I was on The Bachelor and led me to this and all this stuff.
Okay. So yeah, totally. Yeah, that's fair. I feel like that's totally fair.
I don't think it really freaks them out or anything.
In the, like when you're just walking down the street or in the airport, oftentimes, are you recognized from the show? What are the fans like to you now?
Oh, yeah. I'm recognized all the time. I mean, I love it. Lots of people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't mean to come up to you. I'm like, or I don't mean to disrupt you or whatever. I'm like, I love it. I love meeting fans. It's the best.
Yeah, it seems super fun, and it seems like, I mean, we've talked to so many different types of people, but you know, a lot of you guys too, you're still out there promoting. You guys go to these events. You stay engaged with the Bachelor community. What is that like for you specifically? Who are you probably closest with off the show that we would know from the show?
Well, I'm definitely closest to Jared.
So Jared, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely we FaceTime at least twice a week. We're very tight.
There you go.
So
nice. That's probably number one. And then you're in New York City, right?
I'm in LA.
You're in LA. Okay. Yeah. So this is like this is one of those things. It's like different coasts. They got different groups. I feel like there's almost like a New York crew. There's people that get together in LA. Do you ever hang out with like Christian and that whole collection of people?
No. I mean, I'm friends with Samantha Steffen, so I see her occasionally, but I haven't hung out with Christian.
Nice. So what are you up to now, Ashley? We want to give you some time as well to talk about what you're working on, if you have anything you'd like to promote, things like that.
Well, I will be at this Ford event later. If anybody wants to come hang out at that, there's free tickets, and they can see the link on my Twitter to buy tickets. Let's see. I am doing some blogging, obviously doing like my own YouTube channel, but a lot of it is kind of just in the works, talking right now about different shows that I'm helping produce and maybe star in and host. And I should have a big charity event coming up soon for the premiere of The Bachelor, and I'm sure I'll have information on that within the next couple of weeks up on my social media.
Perfect.
But yeah, a lot of it is just in the works.
Awesome. And this is a random one, but it was pretty funny. So you were on The Family Feud, right, with Steve Harvey, and I believe it was like you and Andy Dorfman. Is that accurate?
What about me and Andy?
Were you guys on The Family Feud with Steve Harvey?
Yeah.
What was that experience like? Because those clips were hilarious.
Once again, like the most like cool, surreal experience, because Steve Harvey is one of my favorite TV personalities. And it sucks because we had such great warm-up banter that wasn't included in the edit of the show. But it was so cool to just have like a really good back and forth, like a good chemistry with Steve Harvey.
Totally. He cracks me up. I'm always telling Jeff it's very funny. And I know that you've been making some rounds because you were just on with Ben and Lauren as well, right? So have you stayed friendly with those guys?
I love Ben and Lauren. Yes, they're the best. I'm so glad that I was able to become friends with her. I'm on 3 episodes of their show. So the 2 episodes where I have the most are coming up. I think I'm on tomorrow night, and then I'll be again in 2 weeks.
Very cool. And then I think we also have $1 million matchmaker to look forward with you. Is that accurate as well?
No. That aired in August. And
that was in August. Okay.
It was taped back in April. So
because there was a little bit of drama that came out of that, right? With some comments.
Really have a great experience on that, and I'm just gonna leave it at.
Okay, we could jump past it. I just wanted to make sure everybody was caught up on you, and I know Jeff, it sounds like, has just a little speed round, and we're gonna get you out of there after that.
Let's do it.
Speed round. Okay, you just answer whatever first thing pops into your head, okay? Ready?
Okay.
I don't have
let's
as
do
many of these as I would like, but here we go. All right, beer or liquor?
it. Liquor.
Outdoor activity or indoor activity?
Where in the world are we?
Oh my god, this is not how speed rounds work. We are in Utah. I don't know.
Okay, well, I guess I'm more of an indoor girl, but if it's warm outside, I'm an outdoor girl. If it's below 70 degrees, I'll take inside, though.
All right, this is a great
There we
speed
go.
round. Okay.
There we go.
Wells or Bradley Cooper? Sounds like someone's dating Wells currently.
Bradley Cooper.
Okay. Action movie or romantic comedy?
Romantic comedy.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Surfing or snowboarding?
Probably surfing, but I'm not sure that I can do either.
Okay. Snapchat or Instagram?
Instagram, but Snapchat as far as stories go.
Okay. Goldie Hawn or Kate Hudson?
Kate Hudson.
Ellen or Rosie O'Donnell?
Ellen.
Are you the next Bachelorette?
No.
Okay, that's it for the speed round.
Dang. That one fast. That was good. Ashley.
I love them. They're so fun.
That was super fun. And we'll make sure to put in our show notes all of your social media call outs. But do you want to just give a quick shout out for folks to be able to follow you, like where you prefer them to do that? Is that Snapchat?
Yeah.
Is it Instagram? Feel free to
Instagram.
mention all of them. Okay.
It is Ashley _Iaconetti, and you can watch all my cool videos about makeup and lifestyle and dating and all that at byashley.com. byashley.com.
Perfect. Well, hey, we've loved you from the show. This was super fun. And next year, when The Bachelor starts, Jeff and I are going to be looking at doing some local shows in Los Angeles and have a live element. So we hope to hopefully have you out for one of those as well.
Great, let's do it.
Perfect. All right, Ashley, have a good rest of your day, all right?
Thanks for having me, guys.
Today's episode of the E&G podcast is sponsored by our good friends at Clothing by Owl. All you Bachelor fans will recognize this name as they are the company behind the hugely popular Wine Bachelor and Yoga Pants tank top. What you may not know is that they give back a percentage of every item sold to Animal Rescue, and that notable Bachelor alums like JoJo Fletcher, Caitlin Bristow, Lauren Bushnell, Ben Higgins, and Nick Viall are all huge supporters. We're happy to offer our listeners 20% off when you visit clothingbyowl.com. Simply add the discount code ENG, that's EANDG, to save on all your Bachelor gear. And be sure to follow them on social media at Clothing by Owl.
Jeff and I are doggy dads, which is why we're so excited to be partnering with our newest sponsor, Puppies Make Me Happy. They have a super simple mission to make the happiest clothes on earth, which they do. And we know our listeners will love this brand just as much as we do. Plus, we're excited to help spread a little happiness ourselves by offering listeners 20% off all merchandise by using discount code ENG. That's EANDG at checkout. Make sure to follow them on Instagram at Puppies Make Me Happy.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to our podcast. If you could please follow us on Instagram at ENG Podcast and tag a friend, that'd be great. And if you haven't already, please rate and review us on iTunes. Hey guys, one last thing. On Instagram, make sure to check out and follow our friends at Bachelor_Nation, who we've teamed up with along with our sponsors to run giveaways and upcoming promotions, which include Skype dates with previous contestants. Thanks so much for listening.